Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rundown. This is the segment of the Dailey Blend Show where we cover what's going on around the globe, what's going on across Dailey Blend, and special projects I'm involved with, and of course, where you can find me in real life and online at events around the globe. But before we jump into the show, I want to remind you we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you're a social person, and I am, check us out at Dailey Blend on Instagram, X, and Threads. You can also check me out at Reed Dailey on LinkedIn and Instagram. With all that out of the way, let's jump into the show. So, I was on the road for spring break, as many people are, and it was really interesting because I had a hunch, if you will, that I was going to get delayed or there was going to be some issues if I was not flying direct. And my thinking was that if I was going to get stuck in a single place, I'd rather get stuck somewhere I used to call home and where I've got a bed to sleep. And so on the way back from Florida, my flight was delayed because Trump was taking off thanks to a trip down to Mar-a-Lago. And we were about an hour delayed departing. And so totally missed my connecting flight. And so I did the rebook on the app and, it said, okay, you'll be out at 5:45. And I was like, all right, it's like 2 hours. Looked at my kid. I was like, hey, we're going to go to the lounge. And then I noticed I couldn't find the reservation in the app, and I realized that I had booked it for the next day at 5 o'clock and not that day. So we went to the lounge, worked with the team from Delta. I was flying Delta and not American, so I didn't have as good of status, but still lounge access. And we got on standby for that night, but we were supposed to definitely fly out at 6:30 the next morning. And so I've got this daughter who wants to see her cousins, and I'm trying to just get home. And, I've got one person saying, let's just leave the airport. Let's go to Uncle Brinker's house and go hang out with my buddies, my cousins. And you got me saying, I'm tired. It's been a long couple days. I got work, etc. Anyway, we were able to get on a connecting flight, but that day later, about like 2 hours later. But it's sort of sad that I've traveled so much that I'm now planning for, in the event that there is a delay, where would I rather be delayed? Was it Charlotte, LaGuardia? I think there was even a flight through Dallas, Texas, or Atlanta. And I chose Atlanta. And I think more and more I'm going to choose flying through Atlanta just because the airport's easy. There's a ton of food options. The lounges are amazing. And I know the airport. And if I got to leave the airport, I'm jumping to this city. And I just thought that was like a random sort of experience of too much global traveling in a really good way. So outside of that, did a lot of traveling the last month. Actually, went to Florida twice and been watching a ton of basketball and soccer. I played at St. John's, soccer, not basketball, but St. John's lost in the second round, but it was just fantastic to be able to root for your college and be excited about that and really feel a part of something, which I haven't felt in a long time from a sports perspective. I'm hoping, and I've mentioned this on the show, that there was very little swag available for St. John's. And now that we are good again, I'm hoping that Nike sort of does a better ordering for, summer, fall of next year, with the logic that, Rick Pitino will be back, will be better. We're going to make it to the third round, heck, maybe even the Elite Eight, if you will. And I'm going to get a ton of St. John's swag. The other thing I've been watching is soccer, and we're kind of coming to the end of Champions League, end of English Premier League. But I went ahead and I bought the MLS season pass, and I gotta say the soccer's pretty darn good. The product's great on Apple TV. The announcers are pretty good. I like the show. I like everything about it. I'm just fired up about supporting MLS and American soccer. I'm really excited about USL and the fact that they're doing relegations for the first time. I think it's the first time ever in America that we're going to have that in a sports league. And I think the only thing that's disappointing me right now is the fact that Chicago Fire has an okay team, but plays in a terrible stadium for soccer. They play in Soldier Field. It's entirely too big. They need a soccer-specific stadium. I wish the billionaire who owned them would move them into either like River North or over by Goose Island or by the Salt Shed and not in the South Loop I just think that's a huge miss. And I think you'll get a ton more fans, or at least you'll get one more, which would be me. But yeah, I'm just really excited about the product. And if you haven't checked out the MLS on Apple TV, they're doing free games that are not behind the paywall on Sunday nights. And then everything else is on the paywall. And, if this is what we're going to experience in terms of sports and streaming on Apple and other solutions like Amazon, Google, etc. It's going to be a fantastic experience because they do, the full length games, they do the games that you can watch on demand, they do clips, they've got the show, like the ability to spin up content, curate content. My guess is down the road, you'll be able to sort of tell them, like, do you like 20-second clips, minute clips, like what are your favorite teams? And you'll get a very curated experience. And I think it's going to be fantastic. And we're just starting to see like what the future has for sports online. Let's talk about golf. So it is a huge week. If you can't tell, I'm wearing my Masters top, and I'll be wearing Masters gear all week. I had the opportunity to go to the Masters last year, and it was one of the coolest sporting experience. I'm trying to decide if I like it. Was cooler than going to the US Open, although I do love the US Open just because there's a ton of action. But it was probably the coolest sporting event to witness, and I really like the fact that there were no cell phones. But let's just talk about like everything from my golf game down to like what's going on in golf to like brands I'm excited about. So this year, and I've said this on the show, I want to be scoring under 85 by the end of the season. And so I've taken steps to take some lessons. I've taken a lesson with Mason Tomlinson. I got the opportunity to do that down at the Northwestern facility, the Luke Donald practice facility, and it was pretty fantastic. And I've already seen progress in my game, both in terms of striking, ball speed, ball direction. I played twice after taking the lessons. I was fantastic on day one, although my score didn't show it. Was striping the ball, just hadn't played in a long time. And did a little poor course management. And then the second day, it was just a mess. I think it was largely because I was trying to swing outside of my shoes. I am going to be taking lessons. If you want to follow me or connect with me, you've got the Gin app, which my number is 267-6450. Or you can find me on Fairgame at Reed Dailey. And so let me give you a little context of Fairgame. So I got exposed to Fairgame through Ben at Hodinkee. I'm not friends with Ben, but he's one of the founders. Adam Scott is. They have one heck of an app developer and a graphic designer, a visual designer. He is fantastic. One of my favorites, just clean, simple, everything ticks and ties in terms of the app, the website, social. I should know his name. I think I've mentioned it to you guys on the show before. But what I love about the app is you can enter teammates that are either on the app or not, and then you can put in the games you're going to try to play. So in the app, they have those, and you can then sort of do betting. Now, it's not integrated into the app, but you can say, okay, we're going to put $100 in, and they can tell you who owes who what. What would be really cool with the app is if they could do integration with like a FanDuel or a similar service. And not only could you do betting through those services, but your friends and third parties could bet on your match. I know it would be challenging to do, but it would be a pretty interesting experience if you could find like 4 random guys going out and playing and you're making bets on who's going to win. It'd be just a cool experience. I also have to say, I've used the Fairgame app a little bit. I did one practice round kind of with it, and the summary that you get after the round is like, it's almost like a AI summary of like all your wins, how you did, but really nicely like displayed and contextualized, and it almost gives you like your talk track for the bar or for your significant other later that night. So I thought that was a really cool experience, and kudos to the team from Fairgame. I'm going to continue to push your app. I'm such a fan of it, and I hope it continues to do tighter integrations with other services down the road. In terms of like brands and what's going on. So we've got the Masters, which I'll call it the Super Bowl of golf. You've got the Ryder Cup later this summer, but in terms of like gear, this is the event where everyone shows up. And so what you're seeing more and more now is brands are going down to Augusta, renting out houses and having parties. So you've got people that are coming for like the whole week or a couple days. And then you've got people like me who, flew into Atlanta, stayed in Atlanta and just bust. So you could come up from Sea Island, Charlotte, Atlanta, obviously, and other cities. And you're just taking a bus you're going to the event, you're having a good time, you're getting all your swag, you're going home. Well, all of these players are now on Instagram. So these brands are sending them these fantastic care packages. I saw Ralph Lauren's care package. I saw Sunday Red's care packages. Well, Tiger's not playing, but their swag. Primo just did theirs with what's his name, Lefty, and it's just cool. What I haven't seen is Malbon Golf's, because they're doing a collaboration with Future. Is it Future 2020 or Future 2000? He's a graphic designer graffiti artist out of New York, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he put together and what Jason's going to be wearing. Everything from practice rounds throughout the weekend. Last year they had Sweater Gate, and it was cool to see Malbon doing something a little different. Obviously, we know that the golf world didn't appreciate it, namely the team from Augusta is asking him to take it off, but it was cool gear. And, this is just a big deal for golf in terms of swag, which, leads me into our next topic. So Sheridan is getting closer and closer, and we're going to start the drop. So if you've been following along on my social or Dailey Blend, we've been sort of pointing a little bit to Sheridan.golf. And we decided through the design process that we were going to we didn't want to necessarily only be golf. And so we're going to be going with Sheridan clothers for social media. And so you'll be able to find us already on Instagram and YouTube. On YouTube, there's no content, but on Instagram, there's some posts. And then you can follow along at Dailey Blend through the Golf Project microsite. And I'm really excited about, going from idea to prototype. And now we're going from multiple rounds of prototypes to bringing product to market. So the journey was met with a couple different folks. We're trying to decide if we were going to, I wouldn't call it like a clothing broker. That's not the right term. Almost like an intermediary or like a coach. And we decided to basically go direct. We found manufacturers in foreign cities. And so we've gone sample number 1 with polos, like the cuts, didn't necessarily like the fabric choices. So we're going to go with same cut, but we're going to go with different fabric choices. And so we've seen the images, or the images have been sent, little micro videos from the manufacturers have been sent, and they're being shipped to America. And we're going to be shooting those on Friends, aka models, coming up. And then we've done some hats. So we've done 1 round of hats through our manufacturer overseas, and we've done 1 through lids. I like the one from overseas better. We're going to do a second round through both, actually, just to compare and contrast. And then we're also going to do some gloves. Those are designed but have not been ordered yet. It's coming together. We are hoping to have this all ticked and tied and launched by the Masters. Just ran out of time. So we're going to push that, and we're going to try to be launching for 4th of July weekend with some kind of core products and then some stuff for Celebrate America. Kind of what I'm thinking about in terms of Sheridan, and one of the things we're going to do is we're going to set up an advisory committee. We've got most of the team in place. We've got 3 people in place. We're probably going to add 1 or 2 more. And then what I want to do is set up either 1 or a couple different creative pods and basically have them be, friends and family, community members that are looking at the designs ahead of time and saying do we like these things? Do we like the messaging, the look, the feel, the colors? And almost have a creative process through Zoom meetings, Google meetings, etc. And so if you're interested in being a part of that creative team that looks at products, we'll probably meet once a month for 30 minutes. Let me know. Send me a DM, send me an email at read@Dailey Blend, and we'll get you plugged in. In terms of what I was thinking about for next week, I wanted to walk through, I'm trying to decide if I walk through the brand sort of guide or if I want to walk through the design. So let me know which one you're kind of more interested in. I'm leaning towards the sort of design process first and kind of walking it through. I've never done a podcast where we kind of walk through a PowerPoint presentation, if you will. And so I'm going to try that, I think, next week and just focus on sort of the behind the design and just let you guys sort of see how we went through that, sort of iterated it on products, and then probably do sort of the brand overview down the road. In terms of, what else is going on with Dailey Blend, If you tuned in about 2 weeks ago, we did was it 2 weeks? No, it was last week. We did a Sound Off episode with Luke, a creative and design agency founder out of Toronto. Just a really fun story, great guy. I connected with him through the wonderful world of coloring books. He put out a coloring book during the lockdown. I downloaded it and started messaging him. It was all sneakers and stuff. So please go check and listen to that. What I'll do is I'll do a link to that episode. I'll also include a link to his coloring book. And he's got, if you watch the video, he actually showed the hat that he made. So he kind of took the Nike Jordan wings logo and he like tweaked it for Coffee and Kicks, which is his Instagram handle, and he's going to be putting those online. So I'm looking forward to buying those, sort of supporting the cause, and we'll be sure to link those on Daily Blend. In terms of what else, don't have a lot else. I'm going to be playing around with a ton of golf stuff over the next couple days, and then I got this new Hercules DJ controller that I'm really excited about. So we're going to talk a little bit about DJ gear. I just helped another friend buy some Alpha Theta gear. That's the brand formerly known as Pioneer. And so I want to, showcase some fun stuff that you can do. Everything from, $150, $200 little controller that works in an iPad to like big rig festival gear and some software that I'm using. So we'll talk about that either on next week or the week after. But for sure, next week we'll be running through the Sheridan material. And don't forget to check out Sheridan online now that we've got those set up. And with that said, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. And check us out on social at Daily Blend, at Read Daily. And with all that said, catch you on the next episode.